Okay, we're back on the record. Let me ask you, Mrs. Driver, would you agree with me that you would handle close to 4,000 public records requests a year? Would that be about right?
I don't know.
Objective form.
I don't know. I can't give you a number.
Did you ever determine how many you did handle in a year while
No.
you were there?
No.
And you said you handled approximately 75, was that a week?
No. I
Tell me.
didn't say I handled 75. I don't remember how many we did a week. It just depends on the request because I did subpoenas also, and those are very extensive. And it depends on how many subpoenas I had at the time, what I would get assigned to.
The subpoenas, were those requests for records?
Yes.
But approximately 75% of your requests did entail fees. Is that accurate? Stop.
No, I don't know. I wouldn't say that.
Okay. The notes that you would make during the billing process to keep track of how much it costs, were you ever told that those were public records at any time?
No.
Did any of the supervisors ever discuss with you the notes and to keep them?
No.
Do you recall if Mr. McLynas ever requested an itemization of your time on any of his requests?
It sounds familiar.
And how would you be able to itemize it if you didn't keep your notes?
Well, it depends on the request. I would have it at the time.
When would you destroy those notes?
They would be like a notebook, and over a period of time, when the notebook is filled, I just shred it.
What about the other public records individuals, the specialists? Did they also keep notes? How did they do it?
I don't know how they did it.
Was there ever any guidance as far as you keeping the notes or destroying them
No,
in your department?
no,
Now, when you went into ACES, were there ever two separate sections if you requested a particular individual's name where reports would be in different sections of ACES?
there's a master window, and all the reports, like for an address or a person's name, would be under that master window.
Was there ever a different section in there where you had to retrieve records other than through the master window?
Yes,
Okay,
depends on.
what are those other sections?
I mean, there's a lot. It depends on what the request is. Is if you're asking for all trespassing reports, it won't be. You have to do a search. Just depends on what the request is asking for.
If there were what were deemed highly sensitive information, would that be in a separate section?
Yes, a lot of times we're not even able to see it.
Would something alert you that there's something there where you can then go to a supervisor?
Not that I remember.
Did Mr. McLynas ever request from you a breakdown of the bundled amounts, meaning the bills that were bundled for a week or longer?
Yes, I think he did.
Did you ever provide him a breakdown of those individual bills that were bundled?
I can't remember if I did or not.
Now, you had testified earlier that you don't recall ever refunding anybody any of their fees that were paid on those estimates. Do you recall testifying to that?
You mean any records requests or his?
Any records requests?
Right. I don't remember. No, I don't.
How was it that you were able to exactly estimate that many requests where you were right on point, you didn't have to refund money?
I don't think anything was paid on those that was bundled together or gathered in a week.
No, I'm talking about in general, public records requests that were
Okay, in
made.
general, he, like I said, with the request that I had, his was the only one that I did by weeks.
Let's talk about any requests that you received from anybody. Did you ever refund them any money for what they paid the estimate because the estimate was off?
Not that I remember, no.
So how was it in all those years that you were in public records that you were right on point with every single amount for every public records request?
It's not right on point, it's an estimate.
Well, let me ask you this. If you would have estimated on a particular request that it would be $100 and it turns out it was $75, why wouldn't those people get their money back?
They would have.
Did you ever do that?
Not that I remember, no.
So how were you so accurate is my question in your estimates?
Probably they did. If I have not asked for any refunds back, then they most likely didn't pay.
I'm talking about those that paid.
Like I said, I don't remember asking for a request for deposit, a refund. It's just an estimate, a generalized estimate on how many pages that was provided, the redaction that was involved, and the format of how they received the records. Of course, the hourly rate also.
Did you ever add up any of your time and that it did not equal what was in your notes?
I don't remember, no.
Now, you had testified with the discipline you received, it was based on human error.
Yes.
What were the circumstances around the human error? Did you just not open the emails or did you open them and forget about them? Tell us about that.
At the time, I was working on several other requests, subpoenas, and some of his older requests, and the procedure was to handle your older requests first before you work on a new request. And they kind of got basically like with my workload, I was overwhelmed with a lot of requests, and they got I think they were a knowledge. Like I can't remember. It depends on what the requests were and what I did at the time, but just human error. Just forgot to do them because I was working on other stuff, on other requests that I had, and some of his older requests. I had a lot.
Now, let's go back to your notes that you would take time-wise. Would you add up that time at the end and compare it to the estimate, or no?
I don't understand what you mean. Do I compare it to the estimate?
For instance, you give an estimate for $100.
Okay.
You then start to redact, and you got your little sheet there, and you're making your notes.
Mm-hmm.
Would you add up all that time and then compare it to the estimate, or no?
Yes, and see if I need to request more monies.
And you don't recall ever a time where you had to refund money because your time was less than the estimate?
Object to form has been asked and answered several times.
You can answer it.
I don't remember.
Okay, I don't have anything further.
Okay.
You may have questions.
I don't have anything.
You have a right to read.
She'll read.
Okay, she'll read. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and close the video. Thank you, ma'am.